I'm on my third try today because it does not seem to want to be allowing me to have my viewers that I'm more comfortable with. I'm just more comfortable, okay? I just want to be comfortable, okay? Why isn't my comfort important to you? Hmm? So we're going to I'm going to start with Robert Maxwell. And I just think this is fascinating. I don't know how anybody doesn't. But just wait till you read it. Just wait till you read this narrative that's given to us. Let's see. I didn't notice. Whether the Maxwell page is actually editable. Editable, not edible. Editable. Not, in fact, locked up. All right. So, just to start off, like, I'm reading the bio for Robert Maxwell. Robert Maxwell, okay? So it's going to start off with Ian Robert Maxwell, born Jan Ludwig Hyman Benjamin Hoch. 5 names. His name was Jan Ludwig Hyman Benjamin Hoch. That's a mouthful. Well, he shortened it to Robert Maxwell. You can see why and how he got there, right?
Oh, yeah.
But this isn't this is the standard thing that they do where, because none of them really, they did a recent study that showed 95% of Israelis don't have Semitic blood. Don't have any Semitic in their origins. It's all other places. So he was born June 10th, 1923, and died November 5th, 1991. He was a Czechoslovakian-born British media proprietor, politician, and fraudster. He was a member of the Parliament for Buckingham, in office from October 15th, 1964 to May 29th, 1970. So he's 41 years old. He was born Jan Ludwig Hyman Benjamin Hoch in Selinsky Doli, Czechoslovakia, now Solotavno, Ukraine. Oh wow, he's Ukrainian. So when you think about that, because I always ask people, like, what do you think we are so obsessed with Ukraine for? Why do you think we're so obsessed with this foreign country that it's not like they have this large, export industry. It's not like they help us in any sort of way. They're no benefit to the relationship. None of it. It's all. It's very confusing. There are plenty of other countries out there being bullied and who have it rough that you don't see the U.S. going after or defending or giving billions and billions of dollars to. Yet Ukraine, for some strange reason, is. And the thing is, get out of there. Get out. Get out. You're not gonna do this right now. Hit you with the steel chair, boy. But it totally makes sense when you understand that Ukraine is the homeland for a large majority of the chosen in charge in Israel. And here in the United States as well. A lot of the dual citizens and all that, their family lines come from Ukraine. So that should open things up a little bit. Mount resting place. Putin is putting the band back together. Truman doctrine says we must fight communism whenever it's... Yeah, because I'm scared of Putin. I don't know why anybody would be scared of Russia at this point. Russia can't take out Ukraine. Russia can't even take out Kiev. This is minor inconvenience, at least according to the narrative we're given. Yet, this is one of the big superpowers and all that shit. Bullshit. It's bullshit. But let's keep going. His resting place is the Mount of Olives Jewish Cemetery in Jerusalem, Israel. Well, that seems strange. He was born in Ukraine. He was a British media personality, politician, and fraudster. Why would he be buried at the Mount Olive Cemetery in Israel? His citizenship on here says Czechoslovakian British, 1946 to 1991. So he basically must appear in the narrative around 1946. At least this version of him. I mean, this trust me, this is so much more fascinating than you think. While we're sitting here waiting for my water to boil, so I'm not trying to get all the way into it so I can get outside and do it for real, but yeah. What?
Because like a water main broke in the museum, so they're telling all the parents to come pick the kids up.
You gotta be fucking kidding me. So you go pick them up, huh? Oh yeah, no, I definitely need to. I need more than that. I almost ran out of gas.
Oh, then you gotta take the car.
What the fuck? Why don't you go get him? Fun?
No.
Well, it won't be fun for me either. And besides, I just was starting to do my video here.
Right? You do the video the whole time.
No, I can't. I'm trying to read. God damn it.
Oh, the museum's okay.
So Texas just floods.
Mexico's flooding.
Mexico's flooding, and now...
New Mexico.
New Mexico's flooding, and now the water main breaks. God damn it. They didn't know this a half hour ago? Seriously. Well, so much for this video. I got tea to drink here? What the hell? The chat thinks you should go get them too. Yeah.
Some of it out of the cup, but...
God damn it. Well, that just kills the ability to do this video how I wanted to do it. So maybe I'll just Come back. Yeah, well, that doesn't work.
Here, do you want to sip that?
Do I want to sip it? It's like a zillion degrees.
That's how you like it. You just slide this.
Yeah, I know how to use this thing. Wow, that's hot. What's wrong with him? Doesn't look like he's going to school tomorrow either, then. I can't imagine they're going to get fixed by then. Seriously, this sucks. How did they not know this shit a half hour ago? No, because the show doesn't charge for fucking debit. What a goddamn fucking waste. Let's see here. He died November 5th, 68 years old. Atlantic Ocean near the Canary Islands in Spain. Political party, the Labour Party. 9 children, including Christine, Isabel, Ian, Kevin, and Ghislaine. The other ones don't get to fucking get. They don't get named. Allegiance, Czechoslovakia and United Kingdom. So why is he buried in Jerusalem? It's just think about it. And then his military service, of course, right? It says the years of service from 1940 to 1945. He was a captain in World War II, and he was awarded the Military Cross. Isn't that amazing? So this, after escaping the Nazi occupation of his native country, interesting. Of course, we're gonna get dumbass shit because, like, again, you would think, like, who in their right mind would want me to not talk about who in their right mind want me to not talk about Robert Maxwell? Like, what issue would you have with that? Why would you want me to stop talking about it? these lower gas prices, huh? Look, we're gonna get a whole bunch of real angry people that are gonna try to get me to stop talking. Why? Especially considering, this whole thing happening with Trump right now and the connections that are all there. Why would anybody not want to know about this? This seems like pertinent information. Oh, I'm the bad guy. And when it comes down to it, like, I'm all about being the bad guy when the opposition is the piece of shit Israeli system. Like, they're horrible. So that's okay for me. You make me the bad guy all day. I love the idea of not being accepted by them. Just read the Bible, They're probably, that's a great point. There are way more planes in the ocean than submarines in the sky. The reality is, the U.S. military has never had a submarine disaster. In the entire history of these magical flying underwater tubes, there's never been a submarine disaster militarily. Oh, is that strange, right? You got a really bad connection. Just read the title. Would you like to explain that? Well, I'd like to explain that you're stupid and don't understand what titles mean. Because it seems pretty clear that the title of the show, like, I just went to Shell gas station, right? Do you guys think they sell shells there? Is that what you guys think? Their name of the place is Shell. The logo is a shell. So do you think that they sell seashells? Is that how that works? Like, is that what your head tells you? Do you understand that things, especially something that has like a one title and then it says part something else? Because it's weird how you want to leave out the Epstein, Maxwell bio part of the title. Seems strange. And I've given everybody the option numerous times. Like, if you really, really honest and truly want to talk about submarines, go watch Submarines Aren't Real, part 1 through 9. I think I do a pretty fantastic, significant job in debunking submarines in those 9 parts. So if that was really your jam, that was really the shit you wanted to talk about, you needed to talk about that, you could easily go there. And you could then either debunk what I'm saying, or you could, acknowledge that you can't. 1917, 2 U.S. subs collide. No. The U.S. military has a pristine history. We didn't even have supposedly subs back then. But it's all good. It's all good. You believe what you want to believe. Doesn't matter to me. Literally last year, 2 subs collided. No, they didn't. And we're talking about military, so get that straight too. But this is the shit I don't care about. Like, really couldn't care less about submarines. It's amazing to me that if you saw the words in the title and you saw submarines and then Epstein and Maxwell, that the thing that would stick out to you the most is the submarines part. I think the Epstein-Maxwell narrative is much, much more interesting than than anything submarine. I mean, it would be different if we could actually do a deeper dive, but we can't deeper dive into submarines. That's funny. But back to this. So after escaping Nazi occupation of his native country, Maxwell joined the Czechoslovakian army in exile during World War II and was decorated after active service in the British Army. Anyway, was decorated after active service in the British Army. Okay. In subsequent years, he worked in publishing, building up Pergamon Press to a major academic publisher. Oh, so Pergamon Press is the textbooks, the school textbooks publisher. Isn't that interesting? Wow, I didn't realize that. So, we were just talking about this the other day, that if people understand like how textbooks get made and the process by which it happens, and basically comes down to the people willing to do the most amount of work with the least amount of input. And to think that this is Bear Street, and to think that I mean, how long did Pergamon Press? Let's do a quick little break here. Pergamon. It was, so it doesn't exist anymore, I guess. Was an Oxford-based publishing company house founded by Paul Rosebud. I don't know, it doesn't have the E, so Rosbaud. It's an interesting spelling. And Robert Maxwell, that published scientific and medical books and journals. Originally called Buttersworth Springer, it is now an imprint of Elsevier. The core company, Buttersworth Springer, started in 1948. To bring the Springer know-how and techniques of aggressive publishing in science to Britain. That was the stated purpose. That was the quoted purpose. It was published to bring the Springer know-how and techniques of aggressive publishing in science to Britain in 48. Paul Rosebud, that's just what we'll call him, Rosebud, I don't know, was the man with the knowledge. When Maxwell acquired the company in 1951, Rosebud held a 1/4 share. They changed the house name to Pergamon Press. I wonder why. I wonder what Pergamon means. Don't worry, I have a driver. Jesus, what's wrong with you guys? Don't you understand that people have drivers? Fucking rich bitch. My driver just doesn't like to be seen. So I keep their privacy for them. Pergamon Press, a logo that was a reproduction of a Greek coin from Pergamon. So now we have some more of that Greek connection that's always so prominent at the highest levels. Seems weird he didn't go with any Jewish anything, considering he was so proudly Jewish. And I know none of you would ever think Maxwell is a Jewish name. But Maxwell and Rosebud worked together, growing the company until May of '56, when, according to Joe Haynes, Rosebud was sacked. That's literally what it says. It doesn't say he was fired, it says he was sacked. Who wrote this? When Pergamon Press started, it had only 6 serials and 2 books. Initially, the company headquarters was in Fitzroy Square in the West End of London. No, not the West End, sorry. In West End of London. In 1959, the company moved into Heading Hill Hall, a country home rented from the city of Oxford. Oh, all right. In 1960, Brian Cox joined Pergamon Press as subscription manager. After the founders' deaths, Cox has become the primary witness to the phenomenal rise of Pergamon Press in science, technology, and medicine (STM) sector of publishing. That's just amazingly coincidental, right? Amazing. That Maxwell, man, he must have been one hell of a super genius, Wile E. Coyote style. Because he just, everything he touched just blew up, huh? The 59 Pergamon academic journals in 1960 became 418 journals in 1992, a year after Maxwell's supposed death. That's interesting. Cox recalls that in the process some 700 were launched, many transmogrifying rather than ceasing. Cox says the secret of Pergamon's success was to publish a large number of journals so that the established titles could support the new ones during their formative years. What? Come get an 8-ball, you'll throw me a deal. Are you saying you sell cocaine? Gosh, I hope all the people that love to report me for dumb shit are going to report you for selling cocaine. Pretty stupid. In 1962, Pergamon Press started serials called The Commonwealth and International Library of Sciences, Technology, Engineering, and Liberal Studies. By 1970, the series had 1,000 titles. Brian Cox says that in all, Pergamon published 7,000 monographs for various authors. Interesting. In 1964, Pergamon became a public company. With its growth and export performance, the company was a recipient of one of the Queen's Awards for Enterprise in 1966. That year saw construction of a new office block and warehouse in Headington Hill. Pergamon ventured to produce an encyclopedic Dictionary of Sciences in 9 volumes and 4 supplements in the 4 decades from 1961. In 1969, Maxwell lost control of Pergamon and was ejected from the board. Wow. Randy. An inquiry by the Department of Trade and Industry, DTI, under the takeover code of the time, reported in 1971, we regret having to conclude that notwithstanding Mr. Maxwell's acknowledged abilities and energy, he is not, in our opinion, a person who can be relied on to exercise proper stewardship of the publicly quoted company. It's interesting. It was found that Maxwell had contrived to maximize Pergamon's share price through transactions between his private family companies. Maxwell reacquired Pergamon in 1974 after borrowing funds. How does that even make sense? Pergamon continued with international encyclopedias and in biotechnology, chemistry, education, engineering, etymology, linguistics, material sciences, and pharmacology and toxicology. The education volume won the Dartmouth Medal from the American Library Association in 1986 as the best reference work of the year. Interesting. So this is the acknowledgement. Like this is like Naftali Bennett acknowledging that Israel controls Wikipedia. Right? This is the European equivalent of of the educational system. I mean, all of the journals in all these scientific periodicals, they were controlled by Maxwell. Maxwell did it. And it's not like he was real big into all, he wanted this. He actually lost it and then borrowed money to get it back. Yep. Charles Carroll. Is he related to Ian Carroll? At this point, the only thing I can say for certain is that, especially when I'm told, hey, check this guy out, or when, I'm pushed into something. Well, at the end of the day, the only person that I know for sure 100% isn't on the take
is me. And I don't know, like, I would have to really, really vet this Carroll guy before I would be able to take it to heart, like, the reality is I don't know who he is. I don't know his history. I don't know where he gets his information from. I don't know his stated purpose. When it comes to all the esoteric bullshit, a lot of it I just don't even fuck with. Like, it's I don't know the legitimacy of it. And unless this guy is talking about Tartaria, unless this guy believes the earth is not round, unless this guy hates the Jays, well, then I don't know anything. Like, I don't know, like, why I should trust him. Why I should, who is he to me? I wouldn't know any of this otherwise. Well, I don't know what you know. I know usually when people tell me to look up somebody, or look into something, you gotta watch this movie, I'm always like, okay, so tell me some of the stuff that you've learned from him that like, sell him on, or sell him to me. That's crazy. I didn't even look at that. No. The other day I was right next door to him. Went to the church but didn't go to the school. Tell me some of the shit that he knew. No, that wasn't my driver. Tell me some of the shit you've learned from him that I should then be like, oh shit, that's really cool. Let me go look more up. I always say there's a very specific reason why I use Wikipedia. It's not because I think Wikipedia is 100% true and there's, there's not a better, more accurate source out there and everything you read is just the truth. Like, I know it's not. The reason I use Wikipedia is because it's by the way, my latest Google image, my Google Maps image should have me flipping the camera off. He tends to reject philosophy and embrace God as... Yeah. Okay. Then you're definitely not somebody I'm interested in talking to. God as the ultimate philosophy and points out how entertainment and politics are just a system of rituals and abuse. Yeah, well, that's nothing new there, but if this guy's a goddamn Christian, like, he has nothing to say. Obviously, he's dumb. If you honestly believe the man in the sky daddy narrative, impregnated a virgin and with himself, killed himself on the cross, and if you honestly believe that shit, like, you could be telling me, for all I know, you could be telling me the secrets, the truth. I'm just not gonna, like, you've lost me. As soon as you start talking about God and Jesus and all this other dumb shit, I'm just completely lost. You completely lose me. I completely lose interest. Obviously, his sources are flawed. He's coming at it from a perspective that I don't respect. or believe or anything like that. So he talks a lot about purifying yourself from the evil shoved down our throats, blah, 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 blah. Yeah, okay. And where does he get his information from? You know, I know this is a part of the equation that people don't like to address. But where people get information from is extremely important. I mean, they're really... Nice day at school today, dude?
Yeah.
Is it closed tomorrow, too?
I hope, hopefully. Try not to get my hopes up, though.
Yeah, you shouldn't.
Me and my friend were, like, praying in school.
You were praying to the Jesus? Oh, Jesus, make the school day not happen tomorrow, Jesus. Anyway, I don't want to hear yap about him.
What?
Well, no, because it's important, right? It's important that you acknowledge the what's wrong with the narrative.
Oh, yes.
You know, what is this guy's agenda? What products does he sell you?
Yes, it's a boy. Oh, thank God.
I mean, I know I'm not alone. Obviously, look at my feed. Look at what I'm able to accomplish. But the you know, that's somebody that clearly is misguided. And I just, it's like, you know, it's embarrassing that people are so weird about that shit. My kid had a friend at school, and his friend wouldn't come over because we didn't believe in Jesus. Like, what kind of a judgmental prick is that? You know, that's a pretty shitty thing to do and say. But it just made him so uncomfortable that not only did we not believe in Jesus, but we did it in a way that he couldn't override. And you see that a lot, like with Christians, right? Christians are very supremacist, really arrogant and foolish. And it's, you know, if you don't believe what they believe, they don't embrace you and engage you and try to help you understand or whatever. They turn their backs. And you know, they've been taught to do that. I mean, there are other cults like Mormons and shit like that. You know, they absolutely turn their backs on the people. Money, 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 war rights, big checks for anyone supplying the goods, even if you are allies or are ones dying. Well, they're not, though. They're not. I'm more scared of the Federal Reserve than Russia. You should be scared of AIPAC. That's where the real fear should lie. AIPAC, the ADL. You know, these are organizations that you absolutely should fear more than anything. The Federal Reserve is a good example, but it's, you know, it's something maybe we should do a deep dive into one of these days. But it's, you know, there are the organizations that we're given, there are the shows that we're given, but they don't really address, you know, the true problem, who it is and who's behind it all. You haven't accomplished anything. Well, I've definitely accomplished keeping you from scouring the internet for kids for multiple hours every day, so I'll take that. Even if that's the only thing that comes from my feed, is that these pedos are here trying to interrupt me or interfere, and they're not out there looking for kids, I'm doing a good job.
W dad. W dad, I said.
W, exactly.
Way
It
better
is
than
a
letting
W.
pedos get kids like me.
I'm not worried about kids like you.
Oh. My fellow children.
You're too smart, and you're not the type that they would target, because
They get stupid ones.
right, they look for the stupid, the meek, the type that would keep their mouth shut, the types that are abused. I mean, I know we abuse you, we barely feed you and stuff like that.
You hit me all the time.
Hit you all the time, but not enough that it would, that they could take advantage of it.
It's so funny how all the people, some people in your video think I get abused. Like how?
They don't think that. They just say that because that's all they can. Because I point out that they're pedophiles. What's up, Karen? And they're desperately trying to hurt me back. So I've hurt them by what I'm saying.
Aww.
And
a bigger pair.
And it's a eye for an eye kind of situation, especially among the chosen. That's absolutely how they think about things. So, they don't realize how stupid, because they're really stupid, but they basically just acknowledge that my efforts are succeeding. When they start trying to say shit about me in that regard, instead of addressing what I'm saying and the arguments I'm making, well, they're acknowledging that I'm better than them, and that I've hurt them, and that they really, really want to get me back, and they don't have a way to do it, so they just start making up nonsense. War and military operations go beyond Ukraine or Iran, though. Immigration, homelessness, being left to rot, many other things can be avoided if people knew the operations in the public. Operations on the public look like. Yeah, well, and those are all tentacles, right? And I've been saying for a long time, the tentacles are deadly, no doubt about it, right? Like you don't want to mess with the tentacle. But the tentacles can be cut off. The monster still exists. We have to cut the head off the monster in order to kill all of the tentacles. And the only way we kill the head of the monster is by acknowledging it. We have to acknowledge what the bad guy is. All of the symptoms of the wound, you got blood all over your shirt, you got blood all down your arm, you got bugs flying in the wound and laying eggs, you got gangrene happening, you got a scar, you get all these things. But if we're not acknowledging what caused the wound, then it won't matter. Like what people always want to talk about is the blood on the arm. Oh, I've got all this blood on my arm. And you're like, they wipe it off and they're mad. Like, oh man, look at all this blood. The wound is up here. But they're wiping down here like, where does all this blood keep coming from? Why do I have all this blood on my arm? And you're looking at them going, dude, what? You didn't see that big fucking wound you have on your arm right above where you're wiping? No, that's not important. I'm more worried about the blood. The blood, look, it's on my shirt. It's ruining my clothes. It's on my carpet. It's getting on the seats of my car and shit. And you're like, yeah, dude, you gotta stop that bleeding. No, I don't want to talk about that. That makes me uncomfortable. I don't like talking about wounds. I don't like talking about being cut. I don't like that. And you just looking at them like, what are you nuts? So you just want to keep talking about the blood, and you're just going to keep wiping the blood away, but ignoring where it comes from. I got my instant emojis back. Well, we know how you like your emojis. And if they had a working knowledge of witchcraft beyond stones and brooms. I mean, at that point, you know, I believe that there's absolutely more to reality than what we are given. And I believe that they hide a lot of truth behind like goofy nonsense and shit. But so much of the witchcraft narrative and stuff like that, like, I don't know, man. I have a hard time getting behind it. And I have a hard time, you know, like everything that we're talking about could easily be explained by the chosen controlling the narrative and, you know, just all the negative shit. We'll never get an accurate depiction of what the witchcraft looks like or how to take advantage of it or anything like that until the Goyim unite and overthrow the control scheme that keeps us where we are. I don't believe I can attain an accurate knowledge of witchcraft or anything along those lines. I don't think I can get anything accurate at this point. They're not going to let it out. I think a lot of the times, you know, because what they do is they hide behind the satanic moniker, right? They figured out a while ago that if you call something satanic, people will turn a blind eye to it, especially in the black community. You know, something gets labeled satanic and black women are like, oh, no, I don't even want to hear it. Don't you no, just keep that away from me. I rebuke you in the name of Jesus. And all the other stupid fucking stereotype bullshits that come out of their mouth. So when it comes to like what sort of ritual shit that the leaders, the bad guys, the manipulators do, well, they've hidden it really well behind this idea that there's some sort of satanic, devil-worshipping cult at the center of things, and it's, you know, their satanic devil worship is what keeps them in charge, and, you know, it's just dumb, and it's purposefully dumb. It's purposefully made that way to keep intelligent people from looking into it honestly. Because intelligent people are going to be like, satanic, but okay, whatever, I'm not listening. And then the majority of the people are just going to be scared by the name. So there could be some legitimate shit to it. There could be a lot more going on. But again, it's not something that we'll ever get the knowledge of, we'll ever get access to. We're not allowed it. Not all cut and dry, and if it was, it would be quickly taken from you. Just because you can't make sense of it doesn't mean there's no sense to be made. Yeah, kind of does. It kind of does. And the thing is, you're saying I can't make sense of it. I can make sense of it. It's dumbass distraction is making sense of it. It just doesn't fit the narrative someone might like, but it makes sense. Everything. It's just like with anything. You're saying something no matter what you do. If you don't say anything about the problem, you're saying something. You're saying you accept it. You're saying you support it. You're not bothered enough by it to speak out. And that says a lot. I respect all your views and you have the right to have them. And I will continue to pray that God reveals. Like, see, this is that nonsense that I'm talking about, right? So, if you believe that prayer actually works, if you believe and the magical power of prayer juice, and that you can get God to change its mind. Right? I am, according to you, I am the way I am because of God. You know, God made me this way. But you're going to pray that God reveals itself to me. How come in the history of Goddom, no cop has ever been driving down the street, driving in one of the neighborhoods that he's patrolling, when suddenly Jesus appears to him in the passenger seat and says, "Hey, stop the car. Kick down that door and go rescue all those children." And even though he doesn't have a warrant, because he's been inspired by the divinity, he goes and kicks in the door and busts a child trafficking ring, saving 20 fucking kids. How come that's never, ever, 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 ever happened? All the times God appears to people, all the prayers and all that bullshit, the one thing that never seems to happen is, you know, like the Vatican or the church is held accountable for the violent, awful raping of children that it does all the time. Why doesn't that happen? This person says, watch, listen to this. "I know prayer works. No, God created you with free will, not going to force the belief." How do you know it? See, this is what I'm saying. So, to believe in him, just like a father, he's waiting for you to, he's patiently waiting for you to come home. So you like to compare him to a father, right? Well, as a father, how many times do you guys have to, like, beg me for food?
Whenever I ask, "Hey, can you make me some food?" You're like, "Yeah, sure."
Right. How many times do you think I would let pedophiles anywhere near you?
Never. Like, okay, so I want to tell you guys a story, right? So we were at the fair near my house, right? And Dad and Mom see this guy checking me out. You know what they do instead of just letting him happen and all that? He goes and alerts the authorities that there's this guy looking at children weirdly. And you know what he does? The pedophile runs. Like the scared little, can I say it?
Go ahead.
Scared little bitches that they are. So, next time you want to say, like, my dad's a horrible man, he just...
No, they weren't saying that shit. But what they were saying was...
He's wrong for pointing out the...
No, comparing... They love to compare God to the Father. Right. He's the Father.
Okay, then
and as a father... Yeah, why doesn't the Father protect the children?
Yeah, why doesn't the Father help his children?
I would lay down my life for my children.
Yeah, he said it countless times. He'd rather die than have us die.
Right. If something were to happen...
Now that's a father. A real father.
Remember? There's the park. As a real father, I'm going to do everything I can
to protect us.
To protect my children. This was the house Nick was born in. Wasn't born in, but lived in after he was born. And boy, if they changed shit up a bit. Wow.
Better.
Kinda.
It's better than the last time I was here.
But this is what I mean. Like,
He's such a bad father, he got me a phone.
It's such a... I am a bad father for getting you a phone. I hate that you have a phone. But see, that's just it. Like, as a father, I'm going to do everything I can to protect my children. Protect your children from what's seeing you touch other children. Right, this is the kind of dumb shit that they try to throw out here. Right? You can't actually make arguments. So then, now he's saying, like, again, this is the type of trolls that we get. A man with Down syndrome. So now he's making fun of Down syndrome? Or making fun of me by saying I have, like, this is the stupidity that these fucking idiots come at you with. This is the best they can come up with. You should have hope in humanity. Humanity is good. It's the reason why this is happening is because they realize just how much humanity is waking up. They're realizing just how dangerous someone like me is. So they're sending in the troops. They send in these fake profiles. Like let's see. This person is 8 years ago, 4 subscribers. That's how that works, right?
No.
And see, this is again, like, at the end of the day, my stated goal is that we kill pedophiles, stop the genocide, and eliminate the J control scheme. Whoa, Napoli's is back open. Holy shit. Fuck yeah, we'll have to go get us a Napoli's one of these.
Yeah, wasn't Napoli's like real good?
Yeah, Napoli's is the bomb. You know, you have a group of mysterious trolls that spend an incredible amount of energy and effort on trying to get me to stop doing what I'm doing. And you know, I mean, just common sense, at least to me, common sense asks, like, why? Like, what is your motivation? I ask them all the time, what's their motivation? What has you setting alarms so you can watch my feed every day and then sit here for hours on end begging to get my attention through stupid nonsense comments? Because you absolutely could get the attention. If you really wanted attention, you could absolutely say intelligent shit and you'll get the attention that you would require. I don't even, you know, it's not even like there's a rule you have to agree with me or anything like that. I want to hear your intelligent debates. I want to hear your intelligent arguments. And yet, instead of doing anything like that, it's just more and more crybaby.
Why would they stay on your video if they don't like you? That's what I don't understand.
Yeah, well, I mean, that's 14-year-old logic there, and the 14-year-old can figure it out.
They just want
I've written lengthy questions, and you've ignored them. See, this is what you always get. You always get the doofus that claims that he's done it. I've just ignored it. Instead of saying the thing, say the thing. Say the big, important,
my dad always wants to know your opinion. So
powerful thing that you have to say. Say it. I encourage you to say it again. Instead of doing that, you're going to complain and cry. Now, you have the floor. Go ahead and say these lengthy questions that you have. Let's hear one of your lengthy questions. And of course, you're not going to say shit. This is where you cower and start making more and more excuses, right? Let's see. Our motivation: a guy admitting to be part of the subversion machine and further being part of the team. Yeah, of course. This is what they do. They really drool a pool, don't they?
That's actually kind of funny.
Peace in this world. No. There is no closer to peace. Like, the only way we get closer to peace is if we eliminate the thing causing the war.
Yeah, what do you think is going to happen when Israel's done with everyone else? They're going to do it to us. That's my guess.
Damn, son. Well, my kid fucking bringing it out of nowhere. These days you have to spew absolute nonsense to get some attention. Yep, that's what it is. Absolute nonsense. Like, this is the same sort of dribble that comes out all the time. If I really just wanted attention, I'd sell Jesus. With my oratory abilities and my looks and my everything that I have going for me, I could absolutely make a killing selling Jesus.
But
If it was
talk about something more important.
Real. But if it was all about just getting attention, why would I talk about the things that bring this negative insanity my way? Does that even make sense? Like, what would be the purpose of this attention?
I have no idea.
And nobody would think this. Nobody, if you told them, hey, you know what, I go online and I talk about how we should kill pedos and stop the genocide.
So horrible. Why
Nobody
would you do that?
would think like, oh yeah, I bet you have a whole bunch of trolls. Nobody would think that. Every time I tell somebody about this, they don't believe me because it's just so, like, why would anybody oppose you in that regard? And you know, Like, who's going to be behind that whole situation? But now we can get into the Maxwell stuff now.
I love you.
Love you too, bud. Ugh.
Wait, no, I hate you. Stop hitting me.
Get the fuck out of here.
Ow.
Yeah, see how I do it? See how we roll here? Go get in your dungeon. Put your chains on.
Okay.
Okay? Put all your chains on.
Do you lock the door because you don't want me getting back in?
Yep.
Or did you want to protect your family?
No. No, it's not about the family. I hate my family. I hate you guys all. I hope bad things happen. You're terrible people. No. Because it's being used to dead. How anyone could take someone serious to find something, blah, blah, blah. Look at this crybaby shit. It's just so silly. Huh? I know. Just figured you would be. No? Okay. Shish cow.
Oh, is that crack?
It's crack. It's the crack. It's the Keth. It's the Mac. We smoke Mac. It's a super new version of
Crack and meth.
crack and meth. Yeah, it's super like awesome. You got to be cool to know about it. So, oh, seriously, sweetheart, knock it off. Jesus Christ,
Oh, I totally forgot
she is
to
so
tell you.
disgusting.
I made this grown man blush yesterday. This big old muscly black dude that was just dressed real nice, but like this dude.
How did you know he blushed?
Oh, because he did. I'm sitting on the bench waiting for the food. You know, to get that hits on the bench. So I'm sitting there, so kind of down low, and he walks in. He's just like a wall, and his fucking eyes like wide open. So he's standing there waiting. There were a couple people ahead of him. And he turns and looks and he goes, "How you doing?" He must have been like close to 60, And I said, "Come here a second." And it gets kind of close. And I said, "Garage door's open." Oh my God! You should like his whole. He looked like a scrawny, nerdy guy. Like in that instant, it was so funny. I felt so bad for him. He blushed. Yes, he blushed. He was so embarrassed. He couldn't look me in the eye after that.
Let's see. Sell me some Mac. Get you some of it. It's the best. You don't know the people I know though. So.
You gotta find some scientists, some chemists. That,
No, just don't tell them.
chemists and botanists.
And technicians and magicians.
And you get them together, and they can make the map.
But then it has to be blessed by the local rabbi. That's what makes it really good. It's kosher. It's actually kosher because I'm a self-hating Jew.
Kosher Mac.
Yeah. So everything you guys see in these videos is kosher. I have the rabbi come bless it all the time. Let's see. Wait, where did the guy that said he asked questions all? He leaves long questions all the time. What's up, Gabby? Morning. All right, let's see. Because you like attention, good or bad or other. So again, that doesn't answer the question. if I was all about getting attention, why wouldn't I maximize my efforts by speaking? Like, if it wasn't about the truth, no matter what happens, whether it's perceived well or not, why wouldn't I, why would I talk about this particular thing? Your argument just doesn't hold water. You're stupid. You're saying stupid things. You're making stupid arguments because you don't have anything else to say. You're not honest. See how he doesn't answer me? Because you're an idiot. What's there to answer? Here's my question. What do you think of the transgender agenda being pushed in the American universities, often fueled by Israeli investors? I think it's especially if it's going to be fueled by Israeli investors, it's because of the distraction it causes. Right? You have so many of these insecure white people who they act like gay and trans is the problem when, it's not. There's not even like a gay and trans group that rivals the church. So the comparison is hard to make, but it's not like there's some big giant gay organization that continuously gets caught raping children. Right? But they know what a fantastic distraction it is for insecure white guys. Insecure people in general, but insecure white guys make up the vast majority of the population. What's up, skinny man? Looking good, baby? But that's called addressing a question too, right? You see, like this is the stupidity that comes my way because it's always the same stupidity. Why would you have any issue with gay or trans even a little bit? I get it. Like, to me, it's gross. Yeah, I think gay is gross. The idea of me doing gay stuff is gross. The idea of me putting on dresses and all that shit is fucking goofy and weird. Not gonna happen. But for you to do it, I don't give a fuck. Go ahead. Whatever blows your hair back. If you like blowing dudes, then go for it. I don't see why that's a problem. And so many insecure white people love to associate it with the children. I'm just worried about the children. I just don't want it pushed on kids. When you literally have no idea what you're talking about. It's funny how the people that make that argument the majority of the time are people without kids. And they like to pretend they're all holier than thou. But it just leads to so much stupidity. When did you first realize you were straight? All you straight people out there, when did you first realize? When was your first memory of you going, oh, well, I guess I like those titties. Okay. You don't have that. You don't know what it is. Not just white. No, I know, but whites make up the vast majority. And they're the ones that have the ability to, or at least the illusion of the ability to change things. Oh, they came out with a song that says, "We are going to take your children." Who? The Israelis? Because they make lots of songs like that. If you, like, again, I've said this now several times. If you really wanted to talk about submarines, you would go watch the first 9 videos, the first 9 parts. Submarines aren't real, part 1 through 9. Why do you want me to talk about it live so bad instead of just going and watching a video like most of the videos you watch on YouTube, where you can actually pause it and look things up, and it's a video focused on the topic instead of me stopping what I'm talking about to placate you? Go watch the fucking video. If you want to really talk about submarines that bad, go watch the video. Really simple. And I love how they sit here and they try to pretend like it's grooming. Like again, like what kids suddenly start liking things at what age do you think it's okay to talk to kids about their identity? And see, again, it's like stupid people without kids. How many of us, I went to pick my kid up from school the other day, yesterday, and there was this kid walking out of the school, and it was like, that dude's gay. The way he walked, the way he had his head, the way he like sashayed when he walked. Like that's not a choice. We have a friend, Daisy. There is no choice there. And Daisy grew up in an environment with, you know, the macho kind of dad. And yet still, Daisy was gay and then trans. I say read the Bible and debate amongst your peers. Screw the church all over. What are you talking about? The Bible is nonsense. What part of the Bible do you think is real? You understand that the Bible is all Jewish, right? It's literally all Jewish fairy tales that they talk about the Gentiles separately. In multiple occasions, they mention the Gentiles as a separate group. But all of your characters and all of your stories are Jewish fairy tales. What don't Christians understand about that? This idea that kids are being groomed. Like you just don't understand what schools are like. I've had kids in schools these last 10 years, and it's just not that. They're just open to it. And the thing is, like I remember picking on the kids back in the day because they were gay. The kids that ended up growing up to be gay, we all knew that they were that we didn't know what gay was, but we knew they were girly and it was weird, and there's no choice there. If you think gay is a choice, it's because it is for you. You have a whole bunch of gay stuff that goes on in your head that you choose not to act on. And you hate other people that do. Let's see. Look at all these dumb things. Trans people came up with a song to take our children. Sure they did. Trans people came up with a song to take our children. Oh, what a dumbass. Oh, what a dumbass. Because they want to make boys and a lot of people like, you can't debate like a normal human. Yeah. Blah, blah, blah. Your parents help you grow up. Your parents help you grow up. There is a choice. Again, I think it probably is for you. If you think that gay is a choice, it is for you. And you're saying a lot more about you than you acknowledge, I guess. Like, I love when people are dumb enough to say that shit. The Scottish revised curriculum for sexual education is grooming. Right? Again, you say these things, but what are you talking about? Give me the example of grooming. Like, it's so weird to think, what makes you think people can be tricked into being gay? What makes you think you can just make children into being gay? You can make children into slaves. You can't make them gay. It's just stupid. God teaches us not to judge and us sinners forever, blah, blah, blah. And you will cry when the devil takes your whole. What a fucking weird thing to say. Nobody is saying gay is a choice. Trans sure is. Yep, trans sure is. Yep, those people that identify as not being in the right body, that's just a choice they're making. They're like, you know what? I know I've been awkward and weird my whole life, and people have beat me up and made fun of me. I need to do something to make that work out better so I don't keep getting it. You know what? I'm going to start dressing like a girl. That's going to work. That's going to make things better for me. And that's going to make my life easier. It's just stupid. It's just the stupidity here. I just can't. I'm not even going to bother. So fucking silly. And you'll notice that none of these fucking idiots actually makes a fucking reasonable regard. Or reasonable argument. Yeah, so anti-Semitic. I am not anti-Semitic, you dumb ass. Like this, you just can't help but prove the point. Words don't, that you don't know what words mean. We get ya. I'm all about the Palestinians, the Iranians, the Syrians, the Egyptians, the Semitic people of the area. Yeah, they're all Semitic people. The only people that aren't Semitic are the Israelis. New study says 95% of Israelis don't have Semitic blood. A lot of them come from Ukraine. But hey, these are arguments you don't want to like, you're not capable of having the intelligent argument. Semitism is policy or predisposition favorable to Jays. That's supremacy. Policy and predisposition favorable to anybody is supremacy. So I'm very proud of my anti-supremacy. But look at these dumb things. Look at these dumb arguments. You can't make any arguments, so you just keep saying stupid shit. You're still being anti-Semitic. Yep, see? Because you are a robot. Like, you admit it. You're robotic in your thinking, whether you're a person or not. You're just a dumb robot who regurgitates what you're told. I get it. You shall treat strangers, your soldiers, the native among you, blah, 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 land of Israel. The Bible is nonsense. It's all just fucking Jewish nonsense. Not interested. You know? I mean, because there are pieces of the Bible where you go, see, it says be good to each other. That must make it true. Like, what about the Quran? Why is the Quran not true then? They say all the same kind of shit. It's actually much more in depth than your silly Bible. But it's wrong sky daddy, so it must not be true. He agrees with Palestine and Iran, but hates his own country. Yep. Like, this is just stupid. He hasn't said a single anti-Semitic thing. Yeah, I fully support every Palestinian out there and fighting this fight against this chosen menace, for sure. Proud of my anti-Semitism, absolutely. I absolutely am proud to oppose a supremacist control scheme. Let's see, there's tons of J nonsense in the Bible, but your big boy suss it out. See, I'm not arrogant like you, right? It's that arrogance that so many of you have that I don't have. And I know people will say, yeah, you're so arrogant. No, I'm confident. I'm very confident. I'm secure in my person and my ego and my everything. But I'm not this arrogant person who thinks I can pick and choose which parts of the Bible are true. I can pick and choose which parts of the narrative I'm given by the liars, that's the truth. Why would I need to, why would I need to do anything with that Bible? I know what it is. I know where it came from. Or at least I know the narrative that we're given as to what it is and where it came from. 1611, commissioned by King James, written by Shakespeare, Francis Bacon. It's all just, and that's if you believe that bullshit. Like I don't believe in 1611 like you do. You got my own common sense. What makes you think what makes you think you can't glean the good from the Bible? I mean, again, give me something. What are you even talking about? Are you talking about basic things like love thy neighbor? Like, sure, but what if my neighbor's a pedo? Do I still need to love them? The controlist not for the people themselves. What part is not true? What part is not truth? The entire thing. It's all bullshit. Oh, look at this shit. Yep, he knows all. That's what this is, one of these cop-outs. It's a real childish one, really. It's funny when people can't argue what you're saying, they say things that they can argue. So if I was sitting here saying, I know everything, well, then of course you would have a bunch of arguments to make. Anybody arrogant enough, a Trump type of a person that's arrogant enough to say nobody knows more about anything else than me, like that's one thing. But when we're sitting here talking about, like this is what they do. Instead of actually answering for what I'm talking about, they create an argument that they can then argue. Okay? If I said I knew everything, then your stupid arguments would make sense. But instead of being able to, like how I keep associating and focusing on certain aspects, instead of doing the same thing back, you just do this. Just like the difference between assertion and aggression, there's a huge difference between confidence and arrogance, for sure. As we have seen by the threats made by religious folks in the chats. Glad you're here if you're with me. Compare the Bible to any philosophy and it's clear which will take you far. See, again, it's weird. Why aren't you just saying, why are you speaking so cryptically? If the thing that you're talking about really has so many answers, why aren't you just giving those answers out? Why are you speaking in this cryptic way and acting, acting like there's so much to offer, but you're not giving anything? Name something that is not real. Everything. The whole story isn't real. It's dumb as fuck. You really think virgins get pregnant, huh? I mean, the funny thing is most of you don't even know your Bible. Yeah. How many of you are the dumb Christian that's going to be here and be like, this guy's a flat earther. This guy doesn't believe the earth is round. You clearly don't know what your Bible says. It is key to understanding the downfalls of modern civilization. See, again, we're back to the cryptic nonsense. You never said you were wrong. How could you possibly know if what I've said every single time I've spoken? Are you saying you've watched every single video I've ever made? Yeah, but in the bad and breathing the good and kind of numb. There's a roadmap to every single way we've gone wrong in the Bible. See, again, we've got this cryptic bullshit. What are you talking about? It's like pulling teeth. It's just so strange. Like, why won't you just say what you're trying to say? So much wisdom, so much deeper than love thy neighbor. Please don't reduce me to adult. Well, you're being adult because you refuse to acknowledge what's being asked of you. No, you're absolutely not. If you're talking about how great the Bible is, you and I are on completely different pages. The fact that you can't provide one viable argument, you're just sort of just saying, you keep saying the thing like, oh, I have lots of arguments. Okay, give me one. Oh, there's just so many. All right, give me one. Well, I don't even know which one to pick. There's just so many. Okay, give me one. Well, it's really right outside. Well, give me one argument about the Bible. Well, the Bible it's definitely a written story and it is a roadmap to the Bible. Okay, so give me one argument. It's the same thing. Christianity in the New Testament teaches a philosophy of radical acceptance towards everyone, like Jesus offering his other cheek for someone to strike again. Yeah, that's what it is. Radical acceptance of everyone. Where do people even get this shit from? Clearly, they're not Bible readers. The Bible isn't talking about accept everyone for who they are and all this other shit. It's a bunch of goofy stories. But there's that part where the people just refuse to acknowledge the Bible is a Jewish fairy tale. Why won't you acknowledge that? Oh, why do you keep spitting on it? Because you're anti-Semitic. Well, actually, the Jews are the ones that spit on Christians all the time. So, more stupidity. What is false? Name one thing. All of it. I'm telling you, all of it is false. Like, I don't understand. Okay, so God's face along the deep, false. God, created the firmament to separate the waters of heaven from the earth down below, false. God didn't make the sun and the moon until the fourth day, false. The entire story of Adam and Eve, false. What are you missing here? It's just stupid. It's faith. You're right, I won't believe your faith. Why should I believe your faith? Because you're not questioning things, because that same scrutiny that you give to everything else, that same logic that you approach everything else with, that same skepticism that you approach everything else with, you don't do it for the Bible. For what reason? What reason? Give me something. That's literally what you're doing. Yeah, that's what I'm doing. Not for a second do I believe in immaculate conception. So you're one of these arrogant people who picks and chooses which part of the Bible you want to believe. What are you doing? Don't you realize if you have to do that, if you have to sitting there and pick and choose, then it's because you're too smart to believe it. You're too programmed to let it go, but you're too smart to believe it. If you have to sit there and say, well, I don't believe this part, and I don't believe that part, because it's all saves. Anything to support your claims, quote a chapter or verse, and quote chapter and verse at the very least. Right, they can't. You are a fool. You cannot give me one. Yeah. I'm not a Christian or otherwise religious, but you sound ridiculous. There's wisdom in every text. Sure. See, again, these blanket statements. Why do these people keep making blanket statements? There's wisdom in every text. Oh, yeah? You a big fan of Sodom and Gomorrah, are you? What I always want to know with the Bible, and this is, again, this is going to be something that I'm going to bring up that none of you are going to answer, right? Who wrote it all down? A lot of the Bible is conversation happening between like 2 or 3 people, whatever it is. The whole Sodom and Gomorrah story is a bunch of private conversations. One of which is the private conversation between Lot's daughters on how they're going to get their father drunk so they may lay with him and get pregnant. Who wrote that down? Like, this is all shit you just don't want to acknowledge, right? That's fine. That's fine. Our faith is a different thing. I'm here to listen. Radical acceptance. Jesus teaches radical acceptance. The Bible does not. What? Jesus whines a lot. All of the Jesus stuff in the Bible is whiny bullshit. Why don't you believe me? You need to believe me. I am the Son of God. I am him who says him. I am him as I am. He is he. Come on. Why don't you believe me? Faith is unreliable. I can have faith in both true and false things. That was a great thing. That was a great thing. Great comment there. What do you know about the separation of the waters? It's a fake story. It's fake. Don't believe it. He's yelling now. He's been yelling for a while. He's using capital letters because he's yelling now. Your take is old. Okay. You're saying go check it out or don't. So go check what out? I've been asking you to give one example of what you're talking about for like 10 minutes now, and you just refuse to. The reason they don't question is because the fear of death. That's a great point. And that's it. A lot of people can't accept the fact that they're going to die. and they're arrogant. They believe that they should live forever, and that if they just follow the rules that paint, I mean, again, as Christians, you're not even the top dogs in your own belief structure. You believe that a completely different religion, who also happens to be the bad guys of your Bible, who also happen to be the people that kill your superhero, your Christian God's only son. Here, you want to throw that in here? They haven't gotten this side yet. Nope. The people that killed the Jesus, the Christian God's only kid, are the Christian God's favorite people. Yeah, no problem. Christian God's favorite people. They're the chosen people. You're not. And if you're not chosen, then what are you? But these are things you don't want to talk about. Firmament has different amounts of ions and elements. Here comes some arrogance. Because obvious fairy tales are obvious and there's a lot missing. It's really just about the afterlife. You don't want to think you'll never see your parents again. There you go. Don't just make a blanket statement. Right. Trash rage baiting stream title by rage baiting stream title. Well, we must be talking about some piece of shit Jay then, right? Like, why would anybody be raging based on my belief in submarines and or Maxwell Epstein biography? That makes sense. There's the ego of man in every text. Why are you so angry at the J people? Because they're horrible. They're committing genocide right now. Are you fucking serious? Because they're committing genocide right now. Because they look at us all as goyim. Do you know what a goyim is? Do you understand that concept? Everything that isn't them is goyim. So, trash can, car, cat, dog, table, chair, person, we're all goyim. And we're all here for service. We're all here to serve them. We're all here to be the 28 slaves that each one of them requires to live their lives. Yeah, not only is there the personal aspect that they think we're all goyim, there's the genocidal aspect, and then there's the pedophilic aspect that is such a huge part of their cult as well. So, question everything, but never search yourself or attempt to find it out yourself. That's me. I'm literally never searching for anything or trying to find things out. That's exactly me. And it was written many years after the event. Well, the thing is, again, what people don't understand is that conveniently, when they found that the first 2 Dead Sea Scrolls in what would become Israel, 2 years before Israel's, creation, the oldest, and those became the oldest known religious texts, that they date back to the 70 AD, around 70 AD. When you actually read those, they're literally all Jewish. Like, those are absolutely Jewish. The Dead Sea Scrolls are 100% Jewish. It's not Christian at all. But prior to those, the earliest known Christian texts were from the 900s. So between the 1 AD, because there was no 0, between 1 AD and the 900s, it was all just a telephone game. Because that makes sense. You got a guy walking on water and making blind people see and all kinds of other dumb shit. You'd think people would be talking about it. But they weren't. Jesus whined. Jesus absolutely whines. God, I just can't keep reading these dumb things. I'm just going to skip over. Just for a moment to be serious, I think it's ingenious to speak to people while they have to type back to you and insult them for misspellings, and they were trying to type as quick as possible. When you wrong your or there or to, it's not because of you're trying to type fast. It's because you're stupid. It's just that stupid. Like, that's all it is. But can you imagine if we were in a situation where all of these people could speak at the same time I am? Do you even have a concept of how insane this feed would be? like seriously, this person typed that whole thing out thinking, all right, this is going to get him. I'll get him with this one. But it's just every argument that comes my way is just stupid. And it's like, it's this crybaby way of not taking responsibility, of not being held accountable. It's not my fault. I spelled the word wrong. The spell check did it and changed it to the wrong word. Like, it's just, and then especially when you're in a situation where you're trying to tell the person how stupid they are, that you're smarter than they are, but you can't get basic words right, you're an idiot. Oh, and it's fine, we're all subverted in some ways. The world would be a good place if it weren't. I'm just glad there's no free there. Oh, Jesus, look at this shit. You used to not be able to say goyim on YouTube without instantly being deleted back when you could say it was any racial slur. Right. I mean, and that's the slur they use against us. Look at this shit. Look at these dumb ass things, man. I love when people attack because they can't. Like, I've literally said, come on, guys, give us your best argument. All of you Christians out there, give us your best verse. Give us your best. What about the Bible verse, Matthew 24:34? You guys like you guys like you guys like that one? You never think that. This is more crybaby. You guys like Matthew 24:34? Matthew 24:34 is shortly thereafter Revelations is given to us, which, by the way, is extremely stupid. Revelations is one of the dumbest fucking stories in the Bible. And it's always so funny to me that when people they'll be like grasshoppers are going across a region in Africa and eating all the crops and blah, blah, blah. And people will be like, see, we're in end times. Biblical prophecy is coming true. And it's like, well, first of all, Revelations is like a list. It happens in order. So for the grasshoppers or locusts to be doing their thing, other shit would have had to have happened first. But obviously you don't know your Bible if you're talking about some grasshoppers, a swarm of grasshoppers is eating crops, and that must be Bible. The locusts in the Bible are the size of horses, and they have metal breastplates like men, like soldiers, metal breastplates, the faces of man, the teeth of a lion, the tail of a snake. Like, these are the did you guys see any of those locusts anywhere? But after the whole scary ass Revelations narrative, one of Jesus's disciples says, hey, Jesus, that was a pretty scary story. Just out of curiosity, when is all of this going to happen? And Jesus says, verily I say unto you, no one of this generation shall die before all of these things come to pass. And if you actually read the Bible like the way it's presented, I always compare it to the Princess Bride. And that what you're reading is like you, the human, the viewer, watching the Princess Bride. So you're watching this old man tell his kid, or a group of kids in the Bible kid, whatever, tell this story of that then the reader is watching that story. And it's a story of something that happened long, long ago. It's a story from the past. But Jesus, he said, verily I say unto you, none of these things shall happen until nobody of this generation shall die until all these things come to pass. And I think even if you're a dumbass, even if you're really, really trying to be a dumbass on here, you can probably acknowledge that everyone of that generation has been long dead. So that means Revelation's already happened. By the time the old man is reading the story to his grandkids, Revelations has already happened, and you're watching that. Like, it's just so stupid. My favorite is when I get women that come in here and start talking shit, right? Because women love to talk about how they're Christians and they believe in God and all this, and I'm crazy for not believing the Bible. But then there's that verse, that 1 Timothy 2:12 verse, that says, I permit no woman to teach or have authority over a man. She is to keep silent. Yeah, you don't like that one very much, do you? Especially if you're on my feed trying to teach or have authority. I spent the night on the USS Alabama as a kid, and right by it as a battle submarine. Yep. As a kid, they took you on a submarine voyage under the sea. Under the sea. Anybody who wants to talk about submarines, go watch parts 1 through 9. Once again, you don't understand the Bible, says some dumbass. Yep, I don't understand the Bible. Still haven't gotten an answer for who wrote that. Right? Who was always there writing down the conversations that people were having so that it could be collected and put into the King James Bible in 1611? Were they little naked butt cherub fairies flying around taking really good notes? I mean, it's just stupid. When Jesus is captured and he's taken into the dungeon where he's made to strip down so they can laugh at him, and then put on one outfit so they can laugh at him, and then take that outfit off and then put the other outfit back on so they can laugh at him. Who was there writing that shit down? Scripture is divinely inspired. The fact that all of you are so okay with your God, watching, knowing, not doing a goddamn thing about all the pedophilia, specifically in the church. I don't understand how you can still believe that there's this all-father who loves you and all this other shit. I pray all the time, and God answers my prayers. If God answered your prayers, then you should stop going to work. You should stop going to the grocery store. You should stop doing all kinds of shit and just pray that your life is taken care of, and I guess it will be. Common man was buried in a common grave, and that the tomb story was added later to dramatize the resurrection. Oh, when people start arguing about this shit, it's just silly. But this is just bigoted. How is this bigoted? If we're not talking about a way people are born, we're not talking about a lifestyle that people, they just are that way. We're talking about a really horrible choice that people make. How is that bigoted? This is free speech. They don't like that shit. Like, anytime you see somebody with a protect our religious freedoms sign in their yard, you guarantee it's a Christian that's mad because their religious stuff isn't allowed to be pushed as much as it was prior to something happening. They weren't allowed to have a half-hour break to go pray or some shit like that. Like, it's fucking stupid. God isn't going to handle worldly matters on a whim. Oh, yeah, on a whim. Stopping the church from raping children is just one of those little whims. But hey, if you run faster than everybody in the race, or you catch the football that was really hard to catch, or you win the award for best actor in a fucking stupid show, well, that's well, without God, none of this is possible. All praise and glory be to God. Blah blah blah. Right? Then God's involved. Humanity is evil, none is good but God. Yeah, God's that good one who destroyed the earth a bunch of times, or who let the devil destroy one man's livelihood, Job, in order to prove to the devil that Job would still worship God. Yep, God is such a good one. God is so good that in order to keep the world from being destroyed again, circumcision has to take place. If God didn't like the foreskin, God could just dinkle dink it to go away. But instead, what God wants us to do is traumatize our babies. Mutilate and traumatize our babies right at birth, because that makes much more sense than the dinkle dink. Oh, Jesus Christ. Look at these dumb comments, man. Faith takes you places, and you gotta be careful. It is possible to be destroyed by faith in the wrong things. Well, who are you arrogantly pick and choose which things are correct and which ones aren't? See, this is that part that you don't like, and we'll just keep circling back to it. You speak from a very arrogant perspective, that somehow you know which parts of the Bible are true, which parts are just allegories to be interpreted by you, I guess. Like, instead of thinking, hey, it's all a big lie and we're being tricked, we're all being tricked into praying that the Savior finally, the prayer jar is almost full. And if we can just get a few more prayers in that prayer jar, then Jesus will come down. And the best case scenario, which is as soon as Jesus touches the ground, the 15 good Christians that are here all get raptured, while the rest of us all die, 8 billion plus people all die in a fucking horrible Armageddon. That's your best case scenario. They love pushing that death, doom, and gloom on you, right? He's Palestinian, says some dumbass. No, I'm not a piece of shit. It's funny how people have to associate, it has to happen to you before you care. It has to involve your people before you care. Nothing Palestinian about me. Nothing Middle Eastern about me. Yet I absolutely abhor the fucking genocide that's taking place right now. You need a life, and geez, here we go. Just more Christians not being very Christian, if you ask me. None of them come on here and say, hey man, I think you're wrong about this, and I wanted to help you understand that you're getting this wrong. No, it's just dumb shit. Good luck with all that, mister. I have no line and get stoned and run my mouth. You're right. The Big Bang Theory makes so much more sense. Yep, you guys heard me say the Big Bang Theory makes a whole bunch of sense, didn't you? Didn't you guys hear me say that? See what I mean? Christians can't argue against what you're saying, so they make up shit so they can argue it. I mean, this is such a prime example, and they're too stupid to realize that they keep doing it. It's really fucking crazy, right? Here we go. Good morning, Matt. Believe in God or suffer. Now we're getting, just shut up. Just shut up. I should stop. Not you should leave and go to some, page where somebody's dangling some keys in front of the camera so it's more on your level. No, I should stop talking about this because you're too dumb to debunk what I'm saying. Who doesn't hate genocide? The Jews, apparently. The Israelis, apparently. And all of you people who are much more concerned with everything else but. If God is real, he's evil and vindictive. If God is real, it's the biggest piece of shit of all time. Right? It's just a really fucking horrible piece of shit. All right, comments are just, I mean, I'm not going to waste time continuing to read silly nonsense. So let's go back to this part then, right? Let's go back to talking about Robert Maxwell. Because Robert Maxwell is a really fantastic story here. So, Robert Maxwell is the first version of Epstein. You know, Robert Maxwell is Ghislaine's dad. Just think about this as I read it, right? Robert Maxwell is Ghislaine's dad, and she happened to be associated with Epstein. Just listen to how crazy all this is. So, Robert Maxwell, Ian Robert Maxwell, or Ian, which is funny because you have Ian Carroll, who is like the number one, you know, one of the number one Israel conspiracy people right now who's allowed to exist. Like Billy Carson. You remember when Billy Carson first started coming around? And I was like, who the fuck is this guy? Where the fuck is he just coming out of nowhere from? By the way, if you're watching, like, share, and sub. I appreciate those that have. I know some of you forget to. But like, share, and sub. Take 2 seconds to click the share button and share it on Facebook. And if you need to, because you're worried what somebody might say, then share it with the title that I'm crazy. This guy's crazy. Somebody come tell him how he's crazy. Do what you have to do. But like, share, and sub. Shit helps out. So, like I say, isn't it strange how Ian Carroll is just the latest version? Where did Billy Carson come from? Billy Carson came out of nowhere. Out of nowhere, suddenly I'm seeing Billy Carson in everything. All the videos talking about everything. There's another guy called Damian Michaels who's like the new Billy Carson. And then Billy Carson disappears for a minute. And somebody that looks a lot like Billy Carson reappears and he's telling you to you know, you got to get into crypto. Let me sell you this new cryptocurrency. Just like Ben Swan. You guys remember when Ben Swan was the only reporter that had the balls to make the Pizzagate video to talk about Pizzagate? And you could tell the whole time, like, somebody off screen is like giving him the business and shit, and he's just like, fuck it. And then within like 2 weeks, everything about him is canceled. He disappears. He says, I'm going to be gone for a little while, guys, so I'm going to shut everything down. And he disappears for almost a year to the day. And when he comes back with this you know, this promise, hey, I'm going to tell you guys everything that happened. It was crazy. It's been a crazy year, yada, yada, yada. By the way, check out this new cryptocurrency thing I'm into. And then he never really talks about it. But Billy Carson's sort of the same thing, right? And you see this happening a lot. Billy Carson, there was the hot girl. She'd have it all black behind her, but her face was really pretty. And she would talk about shit. I haven't seen her in a while. There's a lot of these guys that come and go, you know, relatively quickly. There's a guy called Damian Michael. He's on Facebook. Maybe it's Damian Michaels. But he's real big into Tartaria and pushing the divide between black and white people. Belch. But he's, you know, he's gone from being this guy who made pretty interesting videos to this guy who wears a male and fucking, you know, a big Papa Pump style. And he got goofy. And all he does is push division while never ever talking about the fucking the genocide that's taking place. How do you not talk about the genocide? You know, the genocide is the number one thing right now. It's more important than anything else. We need to stop this genocide. I hate when I get distracted and start talking about other shit just because the genocide is so important. But I also believe that a lot of these pieces are pieces of the genocide that need to be expressed because, you know, my wife always reminds me, like, I'm here. Took me a long time to get here. And so when I talk about things like someone who's been here for a long time and just sort of assumes everyone knows what I'm talking about. Yes, the genocide in Gaza. So anyway, let's talk about this real quick. A lot of people don't get it. Robert Maxwell, born Jan Ludwig Hyman Benjamin Hoch. So right off the bat, we know of two identities of his. Jan Ludwig Hyman Benjamin Hoch. H-O-C-H. Born June 10th, 1923, died November 5th, 1991, was a Czechoslovakian-born British media proprietor, musician, politician, and fraudster. Now, he was born in Salinsky, Doloy, I don't know, Czechoslovakia, which is now Solotavno, Ukraine. He's Ukrainian. What a surprise. After escaping the Nazi occupation of his native country, Maxwell joined the Czechoslovakian army in exile during World War II and was decorated after active service in the British Army. That makes sense. In subsequent years, he worked in publishing, building up Pergamon Press to a major academic publisher. So this guy is the one that was responsible for the school books, for the information that you have. And you'll see this across the board. This is the Hollywoodism narrative, just Europe's version. But it just so happens to be that they control all of it. You know, if they control the publishing of the thing, they control what the thing says. And people just don't understand that. You don't just write a manuscript and then it gets published as it is. You can't even get a manuscript published. You, the average goyim, no publishing house is going to accept your unsolicited material. You have to get yourself a literary agent who is more than likely going to be Jay, and then they will shop your deal for you. But what people don't understand is, okay, so now you have your manuscript, and you don't, the literary agent has to approve of it. Then if it then goes to the publisher, then every person in the publishing house, all the different levels of publishing, they have to approve. It's why you never see Jewish bad guys, right? You never see Jewish bad guys or Israeli bad guys. They never exist in any of the media no books, no TV shows, no movies, no nothing. You'll have a lot of Arabic bad guys. You'll have a lot of Russian bad guys and North Korean bad guys. But you never ever get any Jewish bad guys. Which just doesn't seem right. Like at the end of the day, you would think you would at least make some to sort of blend in more. More equality, if you will. What? Yes, there are Israeli villains. Yeah, where? Give me them. Give them to me. My wife watches the Ion Network, and whether it's NCIS, Los Angeles, or Louisiana, or New Orleans, whatever, or it's Criminal Minds or anything like that. I mean, Israel comes up a lot, but Israel is always the good guy, always. Zika went to Israel. Pergamon Press. After 6 years as a Labor member of Parliament during the 1960s, Maxwell again put all his energy into business, successfully buying the British Printing Corporation, Mirror Group newspapers, and Macmillan Publishers, among other publishing companies. This guy went around and bought up all of the publishing companies. You don't think there's a significance to that? I guess you just don't realize who this guy is yet, do you? So let's keep going. Robert Maxwell led a flamboyant lifestyle, living in Headington Hill Hall in Oxford, from which he often flew in his helicopter or sailing in his luxury yacht, the Lady Ghislaine, named after his daughter Ghislaine herself. Maxwell was litigious and often embroiled in controversy. In 1989, he had to sell successful businesses, including Pergamon Press, to cover some of his debts. I mean, this is the narrative that they always give us, right? Tesla died poor and broke. I mean, you just name it. They love to do that shit where they try to make it seem like the person was struggling a lot more than they were. Dude had $500 million in the bank. In 1991, his body was discovered floating in the Atlantic Ocean, having apparently fallen overboard from his yacht. He was buried in Jerusalem. Wait, what? First of all, do you know how ridiculous it is to think that they recovered his body to begin with? He was in the Atlantic Ocean, fell overboard, was out all night, and was still able to be found the next day? Maxwell's death triggered the collapse of his publishing empire as banks called in loans. His sons briefly attempted to keep the businesses together, but failed as the news emerged that the elder Maxwell had embezzled hundreds of millions of pounds from his own company's pensions funds. Which is, again, their cover story for why all those people that had put into the pension funds to get their pensions weren't going to get their pensions. Right? They didn't want to have to pay people all the pension amounts, so they came up with this cover story. I mean, think about how many people, if he owns all of the British press, or the vast majority of it, think about how many people he employed. All these different publishing houses, all these different newspapers, all these different things that he owned. Think of how many people had some significant pensions coming to them. That just lost it. They just lost it. The Maxwell companies applied for bankruptcy protection in 1992. After Maxwell's death, large discrepancies in his company's finances were revealed, including his fraudulent misappropriation of the Mirror Group pension fund. Isn't that interesting? So let's go with this early life. The early life is going to be interesting, for sure. Robert Maxwell was born Jan Ludwig Heidemann Benjamin Hoch in the small town of Sletskinski Dol, I don't know, in the region of Carpathian Ruthenia in Czechoslovakia, now Solotovno, Ukraine, on June 10, 1923. Like the rest of the then newly formed Czechoslovakia, the area of Maxwell's birth and upbringing had been part of Austria-Hungary until early November 1918. The area was annexed by Hungary in 1939. Isn't it interesting how, like, whenever somebody gets in trouble, or even somebody is sort of a bigwig, their religious identity is always sort of first and foremost. People talk, especially when they run for any sort of political office or whatever it is. And yet when it comes to Ghislaine Maxwell and all that shit, do you ever hear anybody talk about the Jewish connection to it all? Never. Why do you think that is? Maxwell was born into a poor, of course they were poor, Yiddish-speaking Orthodox Jewish family and had 6 siblings. Most of his relatives died in Auschwitz after Hungary was occupied in 1944 by Nazi Germany. So you have a cover story, right? So nobody can go interview his family members and double check the narrative and, you know, get any sort of actual historical account from anybody that knew him growing up or anything. Nope, they all died in the concentration camps. But years earlier, he had escaped to France somehow. And this is one of those yada yadas. He was occupied in 1944 by Nazi Germany, but years earlier, he had escaped to France. How? When did it say he was born? 23? So at 21 years old, I mean, that was when the occupation took place. So he was 21 years old, but years earlier he had escaped to France for what? In May 1940, he joined the Czechoslovakian army in exile in Marseille. Or Marseille, I don't know what I'm saying. After the fall of France and the British retreat to Britain, Maxwell, using the name Ivan du Moyer, or Moyer, M-A-U-R-I-E-R, or Leslie de Moyer. He used 2 different names. And see, again, this is what they do. They hijack the history of a person who maybe did exist, and they just assign it to this person. Like anybody else is going to be able to come in and be like, no, wait, that's not who he was. But now this is his 3rd identity that we know him as. Well, 3rd and 4th, because it was either Leslie or Ivan. The surname taken from the name of a popular cigarette brand. Took part in a protest against the leadership of the Czechoslovakian army with 500 other soldiers. He was transferred to the Pioneer Corps and later to the North Staffordshire Regiment in 1943. A lot of yada yada going on there. He was then involved in action across Europe, from the Normandy beaches to Berlin, and achieved the rank of sergeant. I mean, again, they love to do that. They love to put themselves in the main storyline. Oh, yeah, no, he was at the beaches of Normandy, and he was at Berlin when Berlin was bombed. He was everywhere. It reminds me of Cotton Hill, right? I killed 50 Nazis. Killed 50 men. Maxwell gained a commission in 1945 and was promoted to the rank of captain. He's doing this all within years. You know, he joined in 40. He joined the army, and then took part in a protest in 43, and then was just made into sergeant in 44. And then by 45, he's made into a captain. Is that typically how the military works? You just jump rank like that? Is that how that works? In January of 45, Maxwell's heroism in storming a German machine gun nest. So now he's literally dodging bullets. Won him the Military Cross, presented by Field Marshal Sir Bernard Law Montgomery. Attached to the Foreign Office, he worked in Berlin during the next 2 years in the press section. Yeah. Maxwell naturalized as a British subject on June 19th and changed his name by deed of change of name on June 30th, 1948. So he was still Lemur or whatever. In 45, Maxwell married Elizabeth Betty Menard. Elizabeth Betty. Her name was Elizabeth, but she was called Betty. Fucking makes sense. A French Protestant, and the couple had 9 children over the next 16 years. Michael, Philip, Anne, Christine, Isabel, Corinne, Ian, Kevin, and Ghislaine. It's funny, the one thing that they always sort of associate with is Protestant. Whether it's the Rickover, the inventor of the nuclear submarine, who converted to Protestant, or it's marrying a Protestant, but that's what they do. He gave an interview, Maxwell, why did it jump there? In a 1995 interview, Elizabeth talked about how they were recreating Maxwell's childhood family who didn't survive the Holocaust. 5 of his children, Christine, Isabel, Ian, Kevin, and Ghislaine, were later employed within his companies. Corinne died of leukemia at age 3, while Michael was severely injured in a car crash in 1961 at age 15. They sure love that narrative too. Kind of like a Kennedy narrative. These are the Kennedys of Europe. When his driver fell asleep at the wheel and crashed headlong into another vehicle. Michael never again regained consciousness and died 7 years later. After the war, Maxwell used contacts in the Allied occupation authorities to go into business, becoming the British and U.S. distributor for Springer Verlag, a publisher of scientific books. In 1951, you left the roach upstairs? Thanks a lot. In 1951, he bought 3/4 of Butterworth Springer, a minor publisher. The remaining quarter was held by the experienced scientific editor Paul Rosebud. We talked about that. They changed the name of the company to Pergamon Press and rapidly built it into a major academic publishing house. However, after a disagreement with Maxwell, the scientific journalist Paul Rosebud left in 1956. Just think about how crazy that is. I mean, this is the typical, they have to give you a narrative. So they just sort of slap some shit together, put it into the chat GPT narrative maker, and run with whatever bullshit comes out. In the 1964 general election, representing the Labour Party, Maxwell was elected as Member of Parliament, MP, for Buckingham and re-elected in 1966. He gave an interview to the Times in 1968 in which he said, "The House of Commons provided him with a problem. I can't get on with men," he commented. "I tried having male assistants at first, but it didn't work. They tend to be too independent. Men like having individuality. Women can become an extension of the boss." That's fucking funny. Maxwell lost his seat in 1970 to conservative challenger William Benyon. He contested Buckingham again in both 74 in both 74 general elections, but without success. At the beginning of 69, it emerged that Maxwell's attempt to buy the tabloid newspaper News of the World had failed. The Carr family, which owned the newspaper, was incensed at the thought of a Czechoslovakian immigrant with socialist views gaining ownership. Yeah, that's what it is. That's what makes sense. The board voted against Maxwell's bid without any dissent. The News of the World's editor, Stafford Summerfield, opposed Maxwell's bid in an October 1968 front-page opinion piece in which he referred to Maxwell's Czechoslovakian origins and used his birth name, which is just interesting because, again, of all the narratives we've been given so far, this is the one that this is the one with all the details. Fuck. Hang on a second. All right, this is how it operates. This is what Wikipedia is really good at doing, right? They give you a bunch of nonsense details in between the important parts, so that when you walk away from this, you're like, yeah, there was a lot of details in that story. It must be true because I remember there being so many details. Not realizing that the details generally are just bullshit. You know, it's just filler. None of this shit matters. Like, I couldn't care less about, like, a failure here. That's what they're talking about. Instead of talking about how he succeeded in any sort of way, they're talking about this one failure time. And it's funny, too, because I guess they remember my first expose on this and how they talked about his family was so poor when he was a kid that him and his sister had to share shoes. And I just thought that was such a funny fucking dumb thing to say. How do you share a pair of shoes with someone? Right? How does that work? She gets the left one, you get the right one. He wrote, "This is a British paper run by British people, as British as roast beef and Yorkshire pudding. Let us keep it that way." The paper was later purchased by an Australian tycoon, Rupert Murdoch, who later that year acquired The Sun, which also had previously interested Maxwell. Isn't that interesting? So the story that was given as to why Maxwell didn't get it, it's obviously bullshit. They obviously didn't care about that. Did you just say people hate lots of groups they don't like? What does that even mean? If it doesn't extend to the desire for genocide, what's the issue? Well, this is why you guys should be paying attention. So then it says, Pergamon lost and regained. Later business activity is not really interested in that. What I am interested in is this one. Israeli support. What does Israeli support have to do with it? In 1948 war, a hint of Maxwell's service to Israel was provided by John Loftus and Mark Ahrens, who described Maxwell's contacts with Czechoslovakian communist leaders in 1948 as crucial to the Czechoslovakian decision to arm Israel in the 1948 Arab-Israeli War. Czechoslovakian military assistance was both unique and crucial for Israel in the conflict. According to Loftus and Aaron, it was Maxwell's covert help in smuggling aircraft parts into Israel that led to the country having air supremacy during the war. Literally, without Robert Maxwell, Ghislaine Maxwell's dad, Epstein's basically father-in-law, Israel wouldn't have won the war. That's what they're saying, right? Listen to this part. When you listen to this part, think about the Pegasus software that exists now. Think about the Nimbus software that's being used. So Pegasus is an Israeli software that allows the government or whoever uses it to be able to access your phone and your profiles without, even if your phone's off, they can access your shit and take what they need. Which, you know, they have this, meaning they should be able to bust every pedo out there, but they don't use it for that, apparently. Maxwell is alleged to have distributed a bugged version of a software, the Promise software, PROMIS, to a plethora of national governments and global financial institutions that enabled mass spying by the government of Israel. Maxwell was allegedly able to sell the bugged Israeli version of the Promise software to Sandia National Laboratories and Los Alamos National Laboratory, two of the most important nuclear research and national security facilities in the United States. Maxwell allegedly employed John Tower, chairman of the United States Senate Committee on Armed Forces, I bet he was an AIPAC member, to facilitate the sale of the bugged Israeli version of Promise software to those two places. Again, ask yourself, who's going to hear what I'm talking about and want me to stop? Not like, you know, it's not that they don't like the subject so they leave. They're doing everything they can to try to convince me to stop talking about these things. Why do you think that is? Why do you think that is? Why would anybody want me to stop talking about this? Other than Israelis, other than the cult itself, the J cult. Who doesn't want to know this stuff? Or not even, I get that this might not even be interesting to some people. I get it, I guess. You know, different strokes. But if yes. If you don't like what I'm saying, then why would you want me, like, you want me to talk about other things? Is that what you're saying? You like me talking about stuff so much that you don't like this subject, so you want me to talk about other stuff? Don't think about it, man. Desperately trying to shoot the messenger. They can't shoot down any of the arguments. They can't deny this information. You know, I'm reading to you from Wikipedia, and I know there's a lot of people that are gonna say some dumb shit. So let's do our little proof video real quick. IsraeliNationalNews.com.
In conjunction with My Israel, has arranged instruction day for wiki editors. The goal of the day is to teach people how to edit in Wikipedia, which is the #1 source of information today in the world. As a way of example, if someone searches the Gaza flotilla, we want to be there. We want to be the guys
first.
who influence what is written there, how it's written, and to ensure that it's balanced and Zionist in nature.
I came here to learn.
Okay, so that's Naftali Bennett. That's the at the time future Prime Minister of Israel. acknowledging that not only do they control Israel, they control the editing. They teach the editors how to edit things so that they can influence the opinion, but that they also influence it to have a pro-Zionist perspective. I mean, it seems strange to me that, I mean, I guess I keep saying it. What I'm up against are a bunch of inbred, chosen pieces of shit. So for them to not be smart is par for the course, right? But I just, anybody else that's watching this, think about this. Think about the fact that they're trying to say that this source isn't a good enough source, when this is the source that they literally want us to have. Like you said, the number one source of information in the world, and they control what's edited, how it's edited. When people look things up, they want to be there. And for all of you that think you can edit Wikipedia, I suggest you do it. See if you can make edits that go against the narrative. And see how long those edits last. You might be able to perceivably, theoretically make a change, make an edit of some sort. But does that edit stay? I can guarantee it doesn't. If it goes against the narrative, it doesn't stay. And I love to read you guys the Team Jorge stuff, but we've read it so many times. Granted, it does explain everything that's going on. It explains the comment section for those of you wondering what's going on. Who the fuck are these stupid ass fake profiles that seemingly have an issue with the guy who thinks we should kill pedos? The guy who thinks we should end the genocide and end the cult that's committing the genocide. Like, who are these people that have such an issue with the things that I'm saying, but can't make any reasonable arguments and have these fake pages? Well, Team Jorge is the name given to an outfit of Israeli contractors specialized in the use of malign cyber activities, including hacking, sabotage, and bot farm runs, social media disinformation campaigns to manipulate the outcomes of elections. And if they can do elections, they can probably fuck with feeds. The group was exposed in February 2023 after an award-winning undercover operation by journalists from Israel and France as part of a consortium of investigative journalists coordinated by Forbidden Stories. The organization has been active since at least 2015 and boasts of having manipulated 33 presidential elections worldwide, many of them in Africa, and in 27 cases with successful results. Their activities were revealed following a 2022 sting operation in Tel Aviv carried out by 3 undercover journalists who posed as prospective clients and filmed their interactions with Tal, T-A-L, Hanan, H-A-N-A-N, the group's leader and former Israeli Special Forces operative, in which he explained the inner workings of the organization. He says the group has been active for more than 2 decades and has engaged in propaganda and disinformation activities in more than 30 countries. However, its first documented activity dates back to 2015. Their services have been available to government intelligence agencies, political campaigns, and private companies that wish to covertly manipulate public opinion. Attention, One of the organization's primary tools is a software package called Advanced Impact Media Solutions, or AIMS. This software automates centralized control of thousands of fake social media profiles on Twitter, LinkedIn, Facebook, Telegram, TikTok, and others like YouTube. So, there's the automated side. And then there is the... And Team Jorge is just one Israeli Black Ops organization. There are many, many, many. ACT-IL was a social networking service used by supporters of Israel to oppose online anti-Israel content, such as the BDS movement, boycott, divestments, and sanctions. Its activities were referred to as an online propaganda campaign and a virtual situation room for pro-Israeli experts. Pay attention. ACT-IL directed its users to missions, to like, comment on, and share pro-Israel material on social media. It also asked users to flag, report, and respond to criticisms of Israel. Users were guided on how to respond, which might entail writing a reply using the provided talking points, which is why they all say the same dumb shit, or sharing or upvoting an allied comment. The app also provided users with ready-made memes promoting Israel's perspective for them to share. By completing missions, users earned points, unlocked badges, and had their scores displayed on leaderboards. So now you have the human side of things, where they've made it a game with points and badges and prizes and shit for trying to interfere with people talking about the narrative. So now we go back to Robert Maxwell, who's on his fourth name change. After the war, oh yeah, no, now we're down to the Israel part. All right, so the distribution of the Promise software, Maxwell was able to sell it. Yep, we saw that part. Okay, Mossad allegations and Vananu case. The Foreign Office suspected Maxwell of being a secret agent for a foreign government, possibly double agent, or a triple agent, or a quadruple agent, or a quintuple agent, and a thoroughly bad character, and almost certainly financed by Russia. He's financed by Russia, but he's buried in Israel. He had known links to British Secret Intelligence to the British Secret Intelligence Service MI6, to the Soviet KGB, and to the Israeli intelligence service Mossad. Shortly before Maxwell's death, Ari Ben Menash, a former employee of Israel's military intelligence directorate, approached a number of news organizations in Britain and in the U.S. with the allegation that Maxwell and the Daily Mirror's foreign editor, Nicholas Davies, were both longtime agents for Mossad. Ben Menash also claimed that in 1986, Maxwell informed the Israeli embassy in London that Mordecai Vanunu revealed information about Israel's nuclear capability to the Sunday Times, then to the Daily Mirror. Vanunu was subsequently kidnapped by Mossad and smuggled to Israel, convicted of treason and imprisoned for 18 years. That's interesting. Isn't that interesting to anybody? Or is my belief in submarines more interesting than that? Journalist Seymour Hersh of The New Yorker repeated some of the allegations during a press conference in London held to publicize The Samson Option, Hersh's book about Israel's nuclear weapons. On October 21st, 1991, the Labour MP George Galloway and Conservative MP Rupert Allison, also known as espionage author Nigel West, agreed to raise the issue in the House of Commons under parliamentary privilege protection. which in turn allowed British newspapers to report events without fear of libel suits. Maxwell called the claims ludicrous, a total invention. Boy, that's a very Israeli response to things, isn't it? There's no genocide. What are you talking about? Why does everybody keep saying and showing this genocide? There's no genocide. What do you mean? No, Palestine doesn't exist. Palestine doesn't exist. No, it's Judea and Samaria. Palestine doesn't exist. This is what they do with everything. Well, it's all Hamas's fault. Israel killed a bunch of civilians. Well, it's because Hamas is using human shields. They're using human shields. I mean, it's you know, why are the people starving? Hamas. Hamas is stealing the food. Yeah. Yeah, I know you have those videos of Israeli settlers, you know, destroying trucks of food and all that other shit, but it's Hamas. No, it's Hamas. A year later, the Washington Post reported, no. Maxwell called the claims and fired Davies. The Washington Post reported that sources in Britain and Israel disputed Hirsch's claims. A year later, in Galloway's libel settlement against the Mirror Group newspapers, thought they had protection against that. Galloway's counsel announced that the MP accepted the group's staff had not been involved in Vananu's abduction. Galloway referred to Maxwell as one of the worst criminals in history, or of the century. All right, his death. This is interesting, and I wonder if they took out the part about his Israeli funeral here. On November 4th, 1991, Maxwell had an argumentative phone call with his son Kevin over a meeting scheduled with the Bank of England on Maxwell's default of £50 million in loans. Maxwell missed the meeting, instead traveling on his yacht, the Lady Ghislaine, to the Canary Islands in Spain, because they don't answer to anybody but Israel. On November 5th, Maxwell was last in contact with the crew of the Lady Ghislaine at 4:25 a.m. local time, but was found to be missing later that morning. It had been speculated that Maxwell was urinating into the ocean nude at the time, as he often did. He was presumed to have fallen overboard from the vessel, which was cruising off the Canary Islands southwest of Spain. Maxwell's naked body was recovered from the Atlantic Ocean and taken to Las Palmas. Besides a graze to his left shoulder, there was no noticeable wounds on Maxwell's body. I mean, I believe it, don't you? Anyone gullible beggar? Yeah, I'm not. Bagger. The official ruling at an inquest held in December 1991 was death by a heart attack combined with accidental drowning. Although 3 pathologists had been unable to agree on the cause of death at the inquest. It's weird. He had been found to suffer from serious heart and lung conditions. Murder was ruled out by the judge, and, in effect, so was suicide. His son discounted the possibility of suicide, saying, "I think it is highly unlikely that he would have ever taken his own life. It wasn't in his makeup or his mentality." Maxwell was here you go. Maxwell was afforded a lavish funeral in Israel, attended by Israeli Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir, Israeli President Chaim Herzog, at least 6 serving and former heads of Israeli intelligence, and many dignitaries and politicians, both government and opposition, and was buried on the Mount of Olives in Jerusalem. Herzog delivered the eulogy, and the Kaddish was recited by his fellow Holocaust survivor, friend, and longtime attorney, Samuel Pissar. British Prime, are they leaving that out? They left it out. They removed it. So in his eulogy, one of the prime ministers said, it can't be stated here just how much this man has done for our people or for Israel or something like that. I can't believe, I knew it would be taken out. That's so funny. But you could go find the original time I did this and you'll see that it was in there. British Prime Minister John Mayer said Maxwell had given him valuable insights into the situation in the Soviet Union during the attempted coup of 1991. He was a great character, Mayer added. Neil Kinnock, the Labour Party leader, spoke of him as a man with a zest for life who attracted controversy, envy, and loyalty in great measure throughout his rumbustious life. A production crew conducting research for Maxwell, conducting research for Maxwell, a 2007 biopic by the BBC uncovered tapes stored in a suitcase owned by his former head of security, John Pohl. Apparently, later in his life, Maxwell had become increasingly paranoid about his own employees and had the offices of those he suspected of disloyalty bugged so he could hear their conversations. I can't believe I can, but I just... They removed that line. That line was so important. I know why they would have done it, because of how important it was. But they removed the line. It can't be stated today how much this man has done for Israel and our people. I wonder if I do this. Robert Maxwell funeral. Robert Maxwell's funeral was a lavish event held in Israel, attended by prominent figures, including Israel Prime Minister and President. He was buried on the Mount of Olives. The funeral was attended by several high-ranking officials from the Israeli government, opposition, and intelligence services. This is the Washington Post from 1991. Let's see if it'll let me read it. The Washington Post doesn't usually let you read stuff. This is from November 11th, 1991. No, can't read it. Fuck. Damn it, I want to read this and I can't. Shit. That really sucks. Reuters, let's see what Reuters has to say here. Reuters, Israel, Jerusalem, media tycoon Robert Maxwell buried in Jewish cemetery at Mount of Olives. Maybe this will be it. The date, November 10th, 1991. So that was the date of the funeral. And that Washington Post article was the next day. Damn it. Robert Maxwell, media tycoon. In ceremonies, okay. Robert Maxwell, the media tycoon who built a global publishing empire, was buried in Jerusalem on Sunday, November 10th, 5 days after his body was found floating in the Atlantic River. Ooh, that's beyond the limit. In ceremonies usually reserved for statesmen, Maxwell's funeral was attended by state president. Why is he the state president? I mean, I can't find that information. Why is Israel known as the state of Israel? Why do they call it that? Is it the state of mind? Don't got one, need one. Are you talking to bots? Attended by President Chaim Herzog and Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir, both of which who had different names, reflecting the nation's gratitude for his investments in Israel and his charity work for the Jewish people. Maxwell's son Philip said, "We are here today to bid farewell to my father, Robert Maxwell, here in the hall of the Israeli nation, a young nation which meant so much to him." Maxwell, 68, lay in state in Jerusalem's main convention hall before being driven across the city for a burial at the Jewish cemetery on the Mount of Olives. In keeping with the traditions of the Jewish burial in the Holy Land, his body was not in a casket. It lay on a stretcher draped in a white Jewish prayer shawl with black stripes. A white candle burned in a golden candlestick on each side of his body. Maxwell was last seen set alive on his yacht off the Canary Islands early on Tuesday. His body was recovered from the water that evening, according to the island's Spanish authorities. Preliminary autopsy reports show he died natural causes before falling into the sea. God damn it. God fucking damn it. Let's try this one. Israel buries Maxwell with heroes' honors. Publisher Robert Maxwell. Oh, fuck, can't read this one. Oh, wait, can I close this? What the fuck just happened? Okay. This is really weird. So if you try to read it, it pops up this ad that if you click on it, it then takes you to another page. Can't read that one. Times of Israel. Let's see what the Times of Israel actually has to say about this. The Maxwell scandal, conspiracy, and more than a few days in court. Ghislaine Maxwell comes from a family dominated by her father, Robert, whose mysterious drowning at sea left behind conspiracy theories, financial scandal, and a fallen empire. Her arrest on Thursday in the United States for allegedly procuring young girls for the disgraced financier Jeffrey Epstein has put the family back in the news. Oh, she was trafficking to Epstein. That's what it was. Robert Maxwell's life read like a novel, having variously been suspected of working for British, Israeli, and Soviet secret services. The Czechoslovakian-born businessman was born to Jewish parents who would be killed by Nazis and came to Britain penniless at the age of 16. That's not the narrative. Well, I got free bots distracted and off the topic. I'm winning. He changed his name from Jan Ludwig Hyman Benjamin Koch and fought for the British Army during World War II, going on to set up a publishing business after the end of hostilities. Because, he just did. It's not like he had this amazing education. It's not like he knew the ins and outs of this shit. He just did. He just did it. From there, he built up one of the biggest media publishing groups in the world. Just like that. Just some really great chosen guy. Just at its peak in the 80s, he employed 16,000 people in a raft of companies, including Britain's Mirror Group newspapers, U.S. publishers Macmillan, and the Berlitz language schools. I mean, okay, so 16,000 people lost their pensions. Imagine how many millions of dollars or millions of pounds that was that just got lost. He was chairman of the Oxford United Football Club and a member of Parliament from 64 to 74, representing the left-wing Labour Party. In business, he was an authoritarian and often controversial figure who met world leaders of the time, including Ronald Reagan, George Bush, and Mikhail Gorbachev. In 1995, his youngest son, Kevin, said his father was capable of great generosity and charm, but also demanded absolute loyalty and reacted badly to criticism. What do you mean? You're this powerful fucking, like, mogul, rich as can be, you own this, that, and the other, you're just this badass dude, and you can't take being criticized? I mean, that really does fit in with, who he actually was with them. Look at what they do to me for criticizing them. Some random doofus in Michigan just talking to his YouTube. Look at the effort they put into me because I criticize them. He could not handle being criticized. Oh, he hated it so much. What? He wasn't too big to ignore it? Like, that's just fucking weird, man. He was capable of verbal brutality and sometimes a bully who worked up to 17 hours a day, 7 days a week, and was motivated by power. Same fucking story it always is, right? It's just how they do it. The Maxwells are absolutely worth a deep dive. Well, that's what we're doing. Hey. Fantastic. How are you? Nothing? No, I don't. I hate William. I hate Billy. I hate all of them. He did not consider himself above the law, but would stretch it as far as it would go, Kevin Maxwell said at his trial for defrauding the Mirror Group's pension scheme. Maxwell, dubbed Captain Bob and the bouncing check in the British satirical magazine Private Eye, died when he fell from his yacht, the Lady Ghislaine, off the Canary Islands in November of '91. His death sparked conspiracy theories, but his daughter was adamant. One thing I am sure about is that he did not commit suicide. I think he was murdered, she told Hello in 1997. He was buried on Jerusalem's Mount of Olives in the presence of numerous Israeli intelligence figures and eulogized by then Prime Minister Yitzhak Shamir, amid reports of his links to Britain's MI6 intelligence and the MI6 intelligence, the KGB, and Mossad. Shamir declared that Maxwell has done more, has done more for Israel than can today be said. Look at the way they talk. Has done more for Israel than can today be said. How did I know that line was there? How did I know that line? If it wasn't in the original, on the original page, on the Wikipedia page, the first time I read it, then why do I know what it says? Has done more for Israel than can today be said. Because they're at a funeral that there are, people are recording. Right? They can't actually go out and just say all the things he's done for it, because it would expose the conspiracy. It would expose the Mossad Israeli conspiracy behind the entire identity itself. Like, look at this shit, right? This is so interesting. And then yet you have these fucking idiot trolls who just, what? This shit, you don't think this matters? Where else are you getting this information from? Who else is talking about it? Nobody I know. So that means literally you could watch anybody else and they'd be talking about something different. And yet instead, you want me to stop talking about this. Why would that make sense? Other than you being Team Jorge, Act IL, Israeli, Mossad, you know, the system trying to keep the Goyim from knowing the truth, how would this make sense in any way, shape, or form that these idiots would be here just desperately begging for my attention? Oh, here we go. I should debate somebody live because, you know, even though they can't make any reasonable arguments in the comments, I should bring them live, right? Like, this is just the stupidity of the arrogance, the standard Israeli arrogance of thinking that you shouldn't have to earn your position. You should just demand it. You shouldn't be saying these amazing things that I'm going, wow, I didn't think about that. Okay, cool. Hey, why don't I bring you on and we'll debate? Like, you're doing such a good job here. That never seems to happen, does it? You're just going to keep crying and crying. Bots can't defend themselves, yet claim to have all the evidence. They always do. Look at this shit. I'm scared. I'm scared of the fake profile that can't say anything important, that can't make any reasonable arguments, and has joined. They created YouTube 16 minutes ago and have no subscribers because that's a real life person there that just happened to create their page 16 minutes ago. They made a page specifically to watch me. A fake page. Because it's not their page. 16 minutes ago. Oh, we have the same fucking shit it was last time. The Dr. Jaffe shit. Oh, you haven't given anything to debate. Yep. I love that argument. That I'm just sitting here talking about nothing. Nothing to debate here. And you're right, actually. I don't think I have given anything to debate. Now that you mention it. Because how can you debate what I'm saying? You can't sit here and come up with a better, like, I'm wrong about Robert Maxwell. I'm reading it to you. You can't sit here and debate me that genocide is okay, because it's not. You can't justify any sort of pedophilia stuff because you just can't. That's sick. Definitely can't deny the whole J control scheme because it's obvious. He has done more for Israel than can be today said, or that can today be said. After his death, over 400 million pounds, $500 million, was found to be missing from his employees' pension fund and was found to have been used to bail out loss-making companies in his empire. The revelations shocked the family as his reputation changed from business guru to crooked tycoon. Epstein had $500 million. Elizabeth Maxwell, the Protestant French national from Lyon, met her husband just after World War II and spent 46 years of her life with him. The couple had 9 children together, and even after his death, she defended his memory and reputation, despite the scandal, leaving her distraught and in financial dire straits. So the family that somehow Ghislaine was a popular socialite was in such dire straits. Yet Israel gave them the big funeral and all that other bullshit, huh? You know what we'll do here? My page, the Guy Williams page, was made 58 seconds ago. 58 seconds ago, they hurried up and made a page. You don't determine that other people do. It's arrogant to make a claim like that. You don't even know what you're talking about. Nobody knows what you're talking about. You're responding to something, but you're not responding accurately, so nobody knows what the fuck you're talking about. She defended him in an interview in the New York Times, or in the Times newspaper in 1991, suggesting he made enemies because of his generosity, because his generosity matched his enormous bulk. That's why he made enemies, because he was so generous. Are you fucking kidding me? That's what everybody hates Israel, because they're so good. He made enemies because of his generosity. What sense does that even make? Anyway, let's just reset real quick. So, pedophiles, kill yourself.